Hello there everyone, welcome back to Alfa Romeo. We are going to continue where we left off. We are again going to do our utmost to survive, and for that we're going to be focusing a lot on car development here. But as we did last time around, we're going to be showing the races where we actually score points, or where something interesting happens that puts us out of them. And for Australia and Baku we did have a little bit of luck. But as I said in those, I think we would still have scored points, probably 10th maybe, 9th if we're lucky, even without those incidents. So still not completely bad. And just a heads up, in terms of rushed and emergency manufacture, I would normally probably not do them. But you have actually pretty decent chances at getting points early in the season by doing it. And that is kind of why I decided to do it with Bottas. So I would not do it for both drivers. I would just do, again, one piece emergency for one driver to try and maximize potential point scoring opportunities. But again, it's not necessary. You can take it a bit slower. Now, we do have, as I said, 18 points because we did have luck at Baku and Australia. And we'll see if we can actually retain this. Again, 7th is what the ball wants. So honestly, already we're looking really, really promising for that. So I wouldn't be too worried. We also did get some damage last time around. You can see the powertrain, the engine, and the gearbox are kind of, damaged here. But we'll deal with that as we go. It's not actually a bad thing at this stage. We can still make that work. We have some news updates here from Red Bull and Aston. Red Bull's going to try and be world champions. Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if they are. We also have a driver development update. We hit smoothness for both our drivers, which is actually pretty good. That is one of the things they're lacking, although Show is also lacking some pace stats compared to Bottas, so we do need to get that up. But getting some smoothness is definitely going to help us, help the diversity of tactics we can use. We can run attack for longer, which will be a huge help. Board has only medium confidence. Okay. Bestie wins. 2 in second. Same Maloney for F2. Car partner setback results. The front wing failed. I believe we already have replaced this. An asset engine and gearbox are yellow. But we can deal with that. It should still be okay. But it is a bit of a shame because if we had put in proper parts for Baku, Bottas could potentially have, done better. Next ATR period has started, and with that in mind, we might want to take apart, look at what we are developing. So we're developing a front wing and a rear wing that we won't not be getting for Miami. We'll be getting that for the race after. And we'll have to see what we do with this ATR period, because I believe, unless I am off, that we have put 2 ATR periods into the underfloor here. So the next one here, I might actually put in the rear wing to just boost that a little bit. We'll have to see though. We might start doing some research as well sometime soon, because regulation changes that we did get hit with are, as you can see here, engine cooling and airflow for everything. So with that in mind, we kind of do need to get that going for next season, because airflow sensitivity has to do with dirty air. But the airflow front, for instance, has to do with your cornering. Your brake cooling also being affected is going to be a bit bad. So we'll have to see how much we're going to develop this year's car before we start focusing on next year's car. Because again, the airflow sensitivity is dirty air, not super important. We can kind of deal with that loss. But the airflow for front and middle, which basically affects your cornering, is going to be vital to actually, counteract, because if we don't, we are going to lose basically the most important stat on the car next season. And also, because of the research being locked to middle sliders, it is not intended, I believe, but it is what it is now. Every time you do research, it'll revert to sliders being balanced in the middle. We do also need to, spend a bit more time doing said research. So we'll have to see if we use this ATR period on, as I said, the rear wing, or if we use it as a booster for research. It'll depend on, where we get at. But that is basically what we're going to be doing here. We also have to schedule a training for our pit crew. We do have a decent chunk of money now. So what I am considering is actually switching out our boy here. He doesn't have a high salary, doesn't cost a lot to break his contract. And generally, as I said, he does not have a high aptitude. So we're going to pretty quickly reach the limits of what he can do. So what I'm thinking is that we're going to have a quick look at the staff here. And I think we are going to be picking up a new sporting director. If we can, do we have anyone who's interested? Perone is actually interested. I believe he has high aptitude because that's the Alpha sporting director. So we could try and snatch him. But honestly, I think we're actually going to do that. It's just good business at this stage. Try and give him 600,000. 100k signing bonus should do it. And we'll give him I think a 3-season contract to start with. Honestly, at 600,000, we could just give him a 5-season one, and we'll probably make money unless we decide to sack him later. So we'll see if how he feels about this. If it's something that he would be interested in, and he actually accepted that. So we are going to hire him and replace our boy. It's going to cost us $500,000, but again, the aptitude boost here, while not extremely high, it's going to be helpful. Processes, aptitude, again, are the two stats that I value the highest for board and directors, and we're going to do that just to get our pit crews a little bit higher up there. It'll also give us more money next season. That's the thing. Because the first season, most pit crews are slow, so you can probably be fine with running the board and director that you did. But I would like to switch them out. Of course, you probably want to switch out your technical chief, your head of aerodynamics. But honestly, we don't really have too many good options for that. We have a look here. We could get Resta. We could get Warner. But again, if we want to try and get up to over the 80s and the 90s, we can't really get anything that is too a lot better than what we currently have. So I feel like there's no point. We'd rather just improve and, you know, pick up one of these boys in a later season. So that is what we're going to do. Now, with that said, we are going to be setting up the pit crew training here. Going to go custom, and I'm going to quickly set this up and I'll show you what we're going to do in the second month. Again, picking up a new spawn director is probably going to be good for you. And although it's just a 6-point increase in aptitude, generally you can expect a 0.015 increase per aptitude in pit stop speed. So it's still basically almost a tenth there, basically 0.09. So it still is a decent, you know, improvement. And of course, it also raises the cap on the other stats as well. So it's going to help us out once we get later into the season. But of course, you can stay with your original one. That's no problem. So that said, I'll set up this schedule quickly and we'll see where we're at. Here we are. This is what we've opted for. As you can see, it's not going to cut up his subtimes by a lot, just 0.07, but it's still good enough. And well, we are going to be losing a little bit on the pick attributes here. They will be decaying because, well, we aren't training them. And generally, it'll still be good in terms of their fatigue, so it'll be fine there. And honestly, this is again, this is acceptable. I'd like to get this down quicker, and we'll deal with the chance of mistake later. But as you can see, we definitely might want to start focusing on that because we have a pretty big base chance here of just 16%. It was lower in the alpha game, and this could really, you know, cause us some problems. 10% is fine, but once you start getting closer to 20, you're probably going to have a lot, you know, harder time than, well, if you took a little bit more proactive steps to avoid that. Now, in terms of our car development here, we're still, you know, midfield in terms of our cornering, but we're going to have a quick look at that once we actually get to Miami, because again, the AI will use, you know, non-optimal parts for their cars, so we kind of need to actually, you know, catch up on that, have a look. Now, we're getting new front wings and rear wings pretty soon after this race, so I'm going to gamble on it just being fine. Can't make them in time for the race anyways. And in terms of the side pods here, I think we are probably going to manufacture one more if we can. Probably do want to manufacture an underfloor as well. That we actually are, I believe, already. So we'll have to see exactly how we want to, as I said, deal with this, what we want to use for manufacturing, because we have very limited manufacturing. Once we get to level 3, it's going to make our life a little bit easier. But for now, I think we're going to make it one more chassis, just to be on the safe side. Although, let's be honest here. What we're going to have a bigger issue with is actually that underfloor will be ready in 3 days, so it's actually fine to make a chassis because we should still be able to get rear wing, front wings done in time for the next race, even with a chassis in the cooker here. So that's okay. We'll get that done. That way we'll have a little bit extra to go on. Yeah, race prep for Miami. I think we are going to say that we are going to be finishing, well, 15th or above. Be no problem. Fast lap, I don't think we have any chance of touching that. We should be able to get both drives in Q2. And maybe Bottas into Q3, so we'll gamble on just that. That should be okay. Now, with that in mind, as I said, you basically want to check this at the race weekends, because as you can see, we've actually dropped a few places. And again, the reason why you want to check at race weekends is because the AI will not replace parts by the looks of it, or won't put new parts on it at the very least, until the race weekends start. So at Miami here, we might have a little bit of a problem to actually keep up with the rest of the grid, but we'll do our best. And honestly, stats right now doesn't look too horrible. We would, of course, like a lot more DRS effectiveness. Get this up to 60-70% at the very least. Get these two stats up to 62 would be nice, just to make our life a little bit easier. But it's looking very, very promising already. And we'll go to Miami, and we'll see if we can maybe snatch a point or two there. Alright, quality's done. Ferrari seems to have brought some decent upgrade here. As you can see, they qualified 1-2. We have Alonso putting the Red Bulls, and interestingly enough, we have both Hasses in Q3 here. We're kind of splitting them here with Bottas, but that is honestly pretty fine with me. Show, unfortunately, could not make it into Q3. Kind of what we expected, so we'll go bang on with, you know, that. So it is a bit unfortunate, but it is honestly what it is. Now, in terms of the strategy that we're going to employ here at Miami, I'm a bit unsure, actually, because the track does degrade pretty quickly. But we can have a quick look at what we can expect in terms of the tire's effectiveness. So, compound performance here. 6/10 difference between the medium and the hard, which means that the mediums will be, you know, expected to be quicker than the hards for about 20 laps because they degrade just 300s quicker than the hards. They have a 6/10 advantage. So, well, 6/10s split on 300s equals 20. So, it'll take 20 laps for the mediums to become equal to the hards. So, we kind of want to avoid them if possible. For softs here, it's just 10 laps or so, 11, 12 laps basically before they too become equivalent to the mediums. So doing a two-stopper here is potentially a good idea. So let's just check. Pit lane, 24 seconds. It's not too long either. So doing this, or rather doing a medium, if we had two medium tires, you can of course save an extra set of mediums by doing practice manually. Would probably have been a really good choice here, honestly. So it is what it is. We'll just have to deal with it. I think doing this is probably going to be our best shot, potentially. We're just going to stick with aggressive for now, and then we can switch it around as we see, you know, fit. It'll save us about 15 seconds. We can, of course, say start on the hards, push them, then push that medium stint. That, too, will save us about 15 seconds. But this one will be quicker, provided that we can, you know, maneuver the traffic. So what we could do here is actually start on those medium tires and try and, you know, stick with the rest of the pack. But I think we're just going to do soft, medium, soft, and we'll see if we can, as I said, eke out some points here. It should be potentially possible, but we'll see. For now, though, we are going to be doing this as strategy, and we'll see here if the race treats us well or not. We've had an incident here with some crashing from Alonso, which could potentially help us out a lot here. Again, we are getting quite lucky, I dare say, already. Yeah, Alonso and Russell tussling, putting him in the wall. That is a broken front wing for both of them. And yeah, that's gonna be a bit interesting. So we had a pretty good start here. As you can see, we actually overtook the Haas. Hamilton has made his way back up to us. We have basically been DRSing off each other. We have not been able to really catch the cars in front, though, doing that. So this does, you know, put a smile on my face. Show has been where he started. Hasn't really been able to, you know, go either up or down. But we have ran attack for the first 5 or so laps. Then we tuned the car down. And it's actually been looking really, really good so far. Also, we are basically one of the only teams here on, as you can see, the soft tires in the top 10. Paris and Leclerc are the only ones. Else, Hamilton has made his way up into the top 10 again. But yeah, there weren't too many of us starting up front. But Russell and Alonso are both going to have to pit. So they'll probably go onto a hard tire. So we'll have a huge, huge advantage once we actually do go onto our medium stint ourselves. I don't think we are going to be doing anything with this, though, in terms of pitting or anything like that. There's no real point. We do want to get by Russell as quickly as possible. Now, catching the Ferraris, catching the Red Bulls is a pipe dream. But using Hamilton as a tow and staying in the, you know, top 5, 6 would still be amazing. Now, Shohei is actually up into 10. And Alonso is just straight up out. Okay. So yeah, that does put us in very, once again, promising position. Show is up into the points. And we'll see here now if we can make something happen here. But yeah, we're just going to run this into its end. Basically running these tires down to about 30%. Again, the tire degradation is going to be our biggest challenge as Alpha, I think. And we have also tuned Show down, so he is not taking risks in terms of overtakes. And, well, he's not defending most of the time. just to, well, not destroy his car more. Now, Bottas is medium on both stats, both settings, so yeah, we'll have to see it though. We might tune him up as his confidence goes higher, but for now we'll leave them as is, and we'll see where we're at on that first pit stop. We're getting very close to our pit stop. I think we're going to gamble on running Bottas one more lap around. As you can see, he has lost that toe to Hamilton, lost it actually pretty quickly, which is understandable. Our car isn't that quick, so it is what it is. Now, Show is also, as you can see, falling behind, as he too has been losing out to the cars well in front, and that is also as expected. Now, for Bottas, he is going to, as you see, fall into the 30% range, which is kind of risky. We could potentially suffer a puncture, so we'll get both cars in and now for their pit stops. Bottas has no problems and actually moves into a lot of free air here once he gets by Norris. Show it's going to have a bit of a harder time. And we also have a crash on track immediately after. That should be Magnussen just straight up out of the race there with that damage to his rear wing. Luckily for us, we did not get a safety car here, like on the out lap after we pitted. Hamilton pits as well. I don't know if Bottas is going to be able to, catch him here. Oh yeah, nah, he won't be able to. Hamilton had a little bit too big of a gap there for us. Should probably have deployed to when I saw on the out lap here just to make life a little bit easier. But it is what it is. Again, could probably have done that. Hamilton went onto a soft tire though, so he's definitely doing a little bit of an interesting one there in terms of strategy. And right now in front of us, the only one that has pitted of, well, the ones that we're fighting is Hamilton. We still have Hulk and Gasly to play with, so I think we're fine for now. We'll just move things along, and I will be trying again to just get Show up in the points, but that will probably be the harder task here. We're about to do a final pit stop here. Bottas is currently running 5th, Show is running 9th, ahead of the Alpines, which is pretty impressive. Now, Hamilton has pitted, so there's no chance for getting him. Stroll and Hülkenberg. Stroll's going to have to pit. Hülkenberg is going to be staying out until the end of the race for sure. And, well, same for Gasly, same for Russell, Ocon. A lot of these cars are going to be staying out to the end, so Show is going to have a bit of a hard time. But potentially, we are going to get Stroll. We might get Hülkenberg. So 6th is definitely within, it is a potential here for Bottas to get up there and snatch 6th. Particularly if, of course, we can detach Hülkenberg quickly. That is basically going to be the key here to making that work. And, of course, for Show too. As long as we can, get the overtakes done and catch up to Gasly and Ocon, getting him into that 10th place is doable for sure. We'll just have to, put a little bit of effort in. And I do think that is possible here. Now, we have already caught Hülkenberg. So we just need to get by both him and Stroll quickly. And, kind of try and build a gap. For Show, he's still unfortunately running behind, as you can see, Albon here. So we might need to tune him up to high. As his confidence has been going up, I've been tuning him back upwards. So he's actually been doing well from that perspective. So we're going to take the risk here, tune him up a little bit higher. Let's see what we can do. In the meantime, Bottas has gotten both Stroll and Show they find him in the corner. Both Stroll and Hülkenberg. So that is good. Bottas is now kind of flying away. And as I said, Bottas will need to pit. Sorry, not Bottas. Stroll will need to pit. So that one is safe. The rest of the cars in front will not. So unless we have a safety car here, we should, unless of course we crash, be kind of safely tucked into 6th there. So I'll be focusing on Show, trying to get him up into a, point scoring position. But as Albon is holding us up really well right now, that's going to be a tad difficult. We'll see what we can do though.
Watch for
We've had another crash here with Hamilton crashing out. I didn't actually realize at first I pressed the... I was moving the buttons. Oh. That's not too bad though. Looks like he scratched his underfloor, to be fair though. And Bottas has been gaining on him the last few laps. He's gaining about about a second, a little bit less. So if he has huge damage to the underfloor here, we do have a chance of potentially catching him. So what we're going to do here with Bottas is go full on attack. We're going to use that extra fuel, although I'll have to try and keep an eye on it. And for Show, he's also doing really well at catching up to the cars in front of him. So I think we're just going to go full send here. I'll probably wait a lap or two more just to be on the safe side. But I think we're just going to go a little bit more aggressively on the full send. Show is within-ish, well, within, you know, distance of both of these. 5 seconds to points. Well, 6 seconds to points. So there is a possibility. We'll see what we can do. And it looks like Hamilton didn't suffer that much damage because even with full attack, we're just gaining about a second a lap. So we'll try this, but it might not be enough, of course. We'll see exactly how that plays out. For sure, though, it is definitely probably a bit more promising in terms of, you know, trying to catch Ocon. But we are going to have to, as you can see, get by Gasly pretty quick. We managed to pull that off, which is great. But yeah, for Bottas, he's probably going to have a bit of a hard time to catch Hamilton in time.
No overtake.
So yeah, I'll use both of these boys, and we'll see where we're at in a few laps time. Honestly, we can just probably watch it together. The show should be able to catch Ocon here, for sure. The problem will be if it can keep him behind afterwards. Now, Bottas can't really catch Hamilton. That crash wasn't big enough to, you know, get us an advantage. So just to make sure that we actually make it to the end of the race, we're just going to tune it down. We have 20 seconds down to Russell, which should be fine. And Show has now gotten Ocon. The question now will be, if we're on attack, if you can actually still keep him behind. Ocon is running, you know, hards. But at this stage, the hards are going to start, you know, actually being the better tire compared to our very, very worn, very worn tires. But Show is now kind of safely ahead. So, seeing that we can't really, you know, make any improvements, we'll just tune both cars down, play it a little bit safer, the pushing, and I think that is fine. 6th place, 10th place, both cars on the points by Miami. I wouldn't have bet on this before this season, but at the same time, it's just because Alonso had that incident, let's be honest. Without that incident from Alonso, there is no way that we would have got both cars on the points.
That's the checkered flag.
So we've had a pretty lucky start here. If you have a, you know, bad start, don't be discouraged, because the game can switch pretty quickly. But we'll definitely take the 6th and the 10th here. That's an additional 9 points for us. Puts us into a pretty safe position here for 6th place. And Leclerc actually overtakes Verstappen for the championship. Ferrari did actually hold on to both their positions. They just switched places. The Red Bull stays as they were. Hamilton made a comeback. And yeah, generally a good race here, I think. Hulkenberg managed to stay in the points for Haas as well, which I believe moves them upwards here. Nope, just keeps them where they are, but they now have a bigger gap to Williams. We did actually overtake Alpine here with those points we got, so that's amazing. We did have the quickest pit stop, but as I said, we do need to get that after camp down if we want to win the pit stop award. We're just up into 4 right now. Red Bull still has a massive advantage over us, so we definitely need to speed that up. And unfortunately, as we can see, Show had a bit of an issue, but it didn't really affect this race because, let's face it, we would never caught 9th anyways. 10th was the best we could hope for, so it's a mistake, but it's a mistake that we can tolerate for sure. We also made a decent chunk of extra money here from our finished position streak and, you know, getting our Q2, Q3 promises in order. Factory upgrade complete to level 2. That's going to make our life so much easier because that's going to allow us to basically, you know, run more projects at any given time. So that's going to be really, really helpful. Now, the new front wing here is low-end focused, and it's actually going to be a huge upgrade on that low end. As you can see here, by 0.05. That's actually pretty huge. We're going to lose a little bit of high speed, but I'm pretty sure we can regain that from other areas. We're going to lose a little bit of brake cooling. But honestly, I think this one is more than worth it. And for the start to say, we're just going to make 3. But I think that's okay. Design and research in 2 days, we're going to get rear wing. We actually have an extra manufacturer slot for that, so that's also perfect. And the question now becomes, what do we want to do? That's said, we do have a pretty massive one here where we can do some interesting stuff. So let's say that we want to make a new one. As you see, this isn't a huge upgrade. The second one rarely ever will be if you make them identical. That is just the way it works. But we could make different versions. Say something like this. It's going to completely destroy engine cooling. But the thing is that what we're going to do is probably make another front wing. Maybe a chassis. Again, we do have some work ahead of us for both of these. It's either that or we already start doing some research now, because we are getting hit with technical changes for everything. And I am having a little bit of a hard time deciding. We do also have some CFD and mile hours that we could, as I said, invest into, say, the front wing, if we really wanted to. Now, keep in mind that this front wing is currently being measured against the one that we have on our car, not the one that we put into manufactory. So it's still not good from that perspective. And if we keep that in mind, we are going to have a little bit of concern. But as you can see, we can actually boost this by quite a decent margin. We can lower the loss of high speed. But again, this is with full CFD and wind tunnel hours. And I kind of want to use them on the rear wing. Probably not too beneficial to use them on the rear wing. But that is where I'm at. Honestly, we should design some more parts. But because of the luck that we've had early in the season, we could actually consider starting to focus a little bit more on, you know, later in the season. We can also say do this, which is again small upgrades. Don't make this design, but make the next one, for instance. And I think we'll do that. We'll just slowly make some more designs. It'll help a little bit on engine cooling. Again, this is basically what you're going to be getting, though, smaller gains throughout the year. And I think we're going to do that. As said, we're going to do this for the chassis mainly because it's going to be a small upgrade, but mainly because, again, it's going to help in the long run. It's also a cheap project that is fairly quick. We could also put some more engineers on this. We actually have a lot of free engineers right now. I probably forgot that I was supposed to move these around to make life a little bit easier. Monte Carlo, Barcelona. If we put all of them on, we can get them in 22 days. So we could have gotten this underfloor for Monaco, but because I made a mistake, it won't be doable. So yeah, I should have moved my engineers around way earlier. Now, we could potentially get the suspension going. It'll be ready by, you know, the date. So we'll just do that. It's fine. We'll also speed up this chassis a little bit. But we have actually gotten to the point now that we have decent parts. Because once you've made those 6 basic parts, specialized parts, the only thing you're really going to do, the only thing that's really going to be getting you a huge upgrade, it's going to be spending safety and wind tunnel time. Other than that, you are just going to get those smaller upgrades like you saw on the chassis. And it is going to take time to raise your expertise. That's just how it is. So you can actually switch to a research focus fairly early in the season and not really have any problems. That basically means that once you have done this for a season, you're going to be making those basically 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of parts. Well, 1 set of parts for most of them. And after that, you're just going to do research for next year's car. And that is going to be where all your development lies. But that is a different strategy that we might talk about a little bit later. But now, again, I am a little bit unsure what is our best upgrade path from here. But we'll have a look at that rear wing. We'll see what we can do with CFD. And if we can't make any, you know, as I said, huge upgrades, with the amount of points that we've gotten already, we should be safe. So, I don't know. We've been really, really lucky. But at the same time, this is a car that with Bonas, it's going to reliably get you 9th, 10th place without any incidents happening. There's already a really good car for that. That should, again, be enough to put you in top down. We have a factory fire, which is going to shut down the factory. Manufacturing project pause for 8 days, which means that we will not be getting... Well, we're getting 1 front wing in theory then for... Is this just going to affect the chassis? Because if so, this is kind of... Okay, we're going to test this, because I don't actually know if this works. So, we currently have the front wing process going, of course. It says it's just going to affect the chassis, but I assume it's going to affect the front wings as well. Let's see if the front wings gets done in time. Because, well, we had a fire. They need to fix it, so we'll approve of the pause. 8 days down. Basically, upgrading your factory is dangerous because they catch us on fire. It becomes too effective. Or, you know, we forgot to upgrade our... What's it called? What is it called? Electrical system. There we go. So yeah, we'll see. Again, I know that I am a little bit back and forth, but at this stage, it is actually kind of difficult to figure out what is our best path going forwards. This is going to be a little bit of an upgrade. As you can see, it's not going to be huge in any matter, but we can still make 2 of them. This will just move up once the one that we have is destroyed, for instance. That's fine. Apparently, it's currently still on a temporary shutdown, so I assume it's hidden. But as you can see, it did actually slow down on the front wing, even though it didn't say. So it does work as intended, for sure. Now, the rear wing, did I just emergency... Yeah, I'm an idiot. I'm sorry. I emergency manufactured 2 rear wings because of the factory being down. That's why that doesn't show up. Okay, yeah, that's on me. I'm a dum-dum. It's confirmed, yeah. So apparently if you want to manufacture, or, just put in an order while your factory is currently, burnt down, it'll just emergency manufacture them, which makes sense, honestly, but that is on me for not reading, so we'll just put both of those in the car. That's that's a good waste to waste a couple of million of a cost cap. Yep. It is what it is, though. So, if we were to, as I said, make a new rear wing where we put in CPM hours, because again, want to get that DRS delta mainly up a little bit. Could we make a rear wing that would actually be worth anything? And again, we're going to have to make 2 if we do this. It's just how it works. We could do something like this. But as you can see, it wouldn't be a huge upgrade to what we already have. We could sacrifice the dirty air tolerance, which is going to make it harder to overtake in dirty air. If we don't use rear wing. So it's a bit of a what's a good decision here? What's a good middle point? Now, if we were to say do research instead, what can we expect for next year? Let's say that we put in all of our safety and winter allows here. What can we expect as an improvement for next year? This is actually a pretty massive one, all things considered. Again, this is with everything balanced, so you can see the numbers don't actually match what we have on our car. This will bump it up to about 50%. This will bump this about to about 40. Get a little bit more cornering across the board. Let's just have a quick look again what we're losing out on, because this is kind of a tough decision. Because I know most people won't be as lucky as I am in these first races. This was intentionally just kind of intended to be kind of a funny little guide. But because of the races have been, going in our favor, let's be honest, it's made that a lot more difficult to, make. So we'll have to see it, because again, losing airflow sensitivity on rear wing is not a big deal. We're going to be getting huge boosts and everything else, so honestly, that's fine by me. Yeah, we're going to have to actually do research here, because we're going to be losing a ton of cornering from everything. So if we are, let me put it this way. If you're in this situation where we are losing a ton of cornering from everything, and what do I mean by losing a ton of cornering? Let's look at the front wing here. We're losing 10% of airflow up front, and that has a huge effect on our low-speed cornering. Same here for our suspension. The main reason why our suspension is very good at low-speed downforce is because we focused airflow up front. So losing this is going to affect our suspension incredibly negatively, and so is, anything else, because if we have a look at this here, let's minimize everything, just as an example, even airflow front, and just maximize low speed cornering. It's 0.46. Now if we pull this up, it becomes 0.76. To get an extra 0.3, of course you lose other stats, but you also gain medium speed cornering, you lose a little bit of a high speed, you lose your airflow tolerance, but that's basically because we're maximizing 2 sliders. But we gain a lot in low and medium speed cornering ability by having airflow front. So losing this, it's going to be a huge negative for you. It's not enough to just focus on your downforce. You need to focus on your airflow too. And again, this one is just for dirty air. I'm not too miffed about this one. But losing the airflow front, for instance, on your R suspension, losing the airflow middle on the chassis, we can show that later on. But again, we can actually show this on the suspension just as an example. Because again, if we do this, move everything to 0, let's say we want to, make a chassis that is low end focused. Sorry, a side pod. It is doable. You can also make a one that is, middle focused. And this is compared to the one that we currently have on. And even that was a huge gain. So what I am thinking here is that we're going to start doing some research project. We are going to be saying that this car is good enough with just 2. Well, let's have a quick look at what we're at, because we are going to make an underfloor. I believe I'm going to have to go back and check, but I believe we use CFD time on this one, so we probably are going to have to design a new one on that. But basically, we're going to take this car that we now have 1 new chassis on, basically 1 new front wing once this gets made, 2 new rear wings. Again, this one is just a smaller upgrade though. 1 side pod, Basically, again, 3 underfloors. We use safety as this one. I don't know if we use safety as this one, judging by the games, probably. And again, we're going to have 2 suspensions. So we're going to do very limited project design here. But we'll see how that works out later in the season. And I think that is going to be the play here, honestly. Now, the concern is going to be now, what should I actually put these safety and MAO valves into? Because they are going to be, you know, very, very valuable on virtually every aspect. So we can get some brake cooling, some dead air tolerance. But mainly what we want is to get that airflow front up. So, yeah, this would actually kind of cancel out the effects on the front wing, for sure. And I think we're going to do with that. Again, I would love to get some more DRS effectiveness for next season. I think we're going to use our remaining periods, of which we have 4, including this one, on the front wing, the rear wing, the suspension maybe, and the underfloor. I think that is going to be, each of those 4 pieces can get 1 each, and we're just going to have to focus a few projects on the chassis, and of course the side pods. And the reason why we're going to do it like this is because those 2 are the cheapest pieces. So we'll also be saving a little bit of money, because again, we'll be running those pieces a few times extra, rather than say run the front wing a few times extra. So let's use this first safety period on the front wing. We're going to be changing the strategy a little bit here. See if just doing basically 2 rounds of every piece, 3 rounds for some, 4 rounds for the underfloor, is enough to give us a car where we can actually, you know, survive the championship, which is kind of even more limited. And then we'll see what kind of car we get next season. So I'm very sorry for spending a lot of time here going back and forth, but I think this probably was an important discussion for me to have with myself in terms of future development, and it is what we're going to be going for. It's going to give us huge increases here in our, you know, cooling capabilities. 11%, we're currently 38. It's basically a 25% increase. For these, it's even more. It's about a 33% increase. It's even more. It's actually more than that, because, well, 12 times 3 is 36. Both these numbers are under 36, so it's a huge increase in expertise. So we'll do that. We'll only use 1 engineer, get the most out of this project, of course. And as I said, we might very well now be moving on to you doing only research for the rest of the season. Maybe 1 more underfloor design, and that's about it. So, yeah. Again, sorry for using so much time to basically, again, discuss with myself. But I think it gives you all a better understanding of how I decide to do things, my thought process, and how I get there, and why it might be the better choice than, say, going for broke here and developing the car. Because again, 1 drive top 10, it's 5. That should be doable. I think I think it's just the best way of doing things. 1 driver top 10, and it's going to be the one that gives us the best chance. Of course, I could still get fired for sure. There's nothing that's going to stop that. But at the same time, I think we are safe because of the position we're in. Of course, if you are struggling to get points, you might need to develop your car a little bit more. But at this point, you are going to just see those small upgrades. The only thing you really can do from this point on, if you want to see bigger upgrades, is to make parts for certain tracks. Make a front wing, for instance, that is focused on one that's focused on low speed tracks, one that's focused on, say, medium to high speed, medium to low speed, low and high. Basically setups like that, which is going to take a lot more effort to actually set up. So we'll have to see exactly how we do that. But again, the reason why I want to do this is because that airflow is super important to cornering ability. And particularly on the side pods, it's going to be kind of important to actually catch them up. So we might actually go ahead here and do, rather than the underfloor, who's actually just going to be mainly the sensitivity aspect, again, which is dirty air cornering, we might just focus on the safety period that we were planning on, well, the ATR period that we were planning to use on the underfloor, onto the side pods here. Because again, getting this up is going to be neat. And we do need to kind of do the same for the chassis, because both those are huge sources of high-speed cornering ability. So we'll see. Rear wing is just the airflow sensitivity again, so we could potentially just run a few more projects on that. And the front wing asset, we are cancelling out both of these with just 1 project. So we'll have to see exactly how we do with that as we go, but for now, it's fine. I know that I usually say do research on at about 40%, but 40 million left, 30 million left. But in this case, we're going to do it with 76 million left, because we have a car that can't really be improved much, and we have regulation changes that is going to impact that most important stat next season, the cornering ability, highly. So, yeah. Again, apologies for spending so much time discussing this. Hope it's still been kind of, helpful. And we'll jump into Emilia Romagna here, see what we can do. And we'll also have a look and see if we did get one of those front wings ready. We did. So, of course, we're going to be putting this on Bottas' car. And it's going to be one team out in this. We do need the high-speed cornering, though, so it might be a bad idea. But I think it's going to be worth it, honestly. I think it's going to be fine. As you see, we are 8th now in low-speed cornering for our front wing. We are dead last in the other two. This one's still a bit more balanced, so it's still fine, though, I think. It should be okay. Just going to double-check that we have everything kind of, balanced as we need to. And we can also put that new underfloor now on Show's car, which is going to help out a bit as well. I should probably have seen where our car was before starting this race, so that's on me. But even our underfloor is still lacking a little bit compared to other teams here. We do need to catch up, so yeah. But I'll get practice done and get quality done, and we'll see where we're at for the race. If we don't score points, I'll be skipping it as said, but if we do score points, you'll be seeing something out of it. So yeah, let's speed things along here. And again, sorry for spending the last 20 minutes having a discussion with myself. We'll see what we can do here, if we can score some more points with the car that we currently have. Alright, qualifying's done. Show actually managed to qualify Bottas once, which is impressive. But Bottas is still in 11th here, and honestly, it's probably for the best that he qualified 11th. Because it's an 8-day weekend, which means that we do hard, medium, soft. Which means that Bottas basically saved his soft tires for the race. And honestly, I don't remember the exact degradation here, but that could actually pay off better than, say, qualifying 9th here for show. But yeah, Bottas got completely just bogged down by traffic. But as you can see, timing-wise, he wasn't that far off from show as well. And he does have that front wing that actually limits his high speed. And it might have had a lot bigger impact here than I expected, which could also be it. But generally just, again, getting bogged down. So that is what that is. Now, with the race here, let's have a quick look at on what we can expect in terms of the tires. Softs will be quicker than the mediums for about 10, 12 laps or so. Mediums will be quicker than the hards for almost 15 laps, 15, 16. So hards are actually potentially a good choice if you are going to be doing a long stint, because it is a very, very long pit lane. Well, you lose a lot of time here in terms of stopping, about 28 seconds. So doing a medium to hard is potentially doable. Soft, medium, medium can also work for sure. If we turn it up to, say, the maximum here, what we can expect. We want to do something like this, because usually you have a little bit better time on that final stint. And it'll be not a lot quicker, by the looks of things. A little bit quicker, but not by a lot. So what I'm thinking we do here is we start on probably the medium tire, honestly. Now we could probably make this work, but again, the main problem here is that just in terms of it from a estimated pace perspective, this is just going to be about 7 seconds quicker. We're probably going to be losing more than 7 seconds getting by the cars doing this strategy, but honestly, I'm a sucker for two stoppers personally. I feel like they make it more interesting to watch and also play. So we're going to do this, and that's that. We'll just move this around a little bit. You usually have a little bit more left on your final stint, and we can take it a little bit easier then. So this is what we're going to do, and we'll see if we can score to show some more points. And yeah, it's looking promising. Now, I know it says untested here, but I don't know why, because it is, as you see, on a 99 setup. It said untested since practice, so I assume it's a bug of some sort. But as you can see, he still retains his confidence, so as I said, probably a bug. He doesn't start lower, so I'll take that. And as I said, at Bottas, I said he saved tires, but he still even just have one soft. And it's the same for show, so it didn't really, work out for us there. I was wrong in terms of quality. But it's fine though, honestly. The softs aren't dominant here or anything like that. They're just nice to have. So we're going to start like this, and we'll see where we're at. Hopefully, have a good race. Let's see how it goes. We're currently running 9th and 10th. Nothing really happened here. It is kind of what we expected. We are virtually top of the midfield right now, so this is kind of what we expect. Tire degradation here was a bit higher than expected here. This is what we're running, just aggressive. As you can see, it dips down quite aggressively below where we want it to be. Turn it back to standard, and we just barely made this thing work. Now, the main problem here is that I should probably have pitted Bottas a lap earlier, but Show just has a little bit more to go in those tires, so he's going to have to do one more lap, because again, can't really double stack with them being virtually running, you know, within a second of each other. And Bottas is going to come out here, potentially all the way in the back, which is going to mean that he has a lot of work now to catch up to the cars in front. The rest here has started all on mediums and, well, one hard runner, except for Norris and Sargent. Again, we are going to have a lot of work here to do to actually kind of catch up a little bit. So we'll have to see exactly how this works. Sargent actually does pit, Bottas does jump Show. So we'll have to see. We might have to run this medium stint on normal, which means that we have chosen the wrong strategy, which might really, really just straight up backfire in terms of, well, how we're going to do this. And as you can see, that I did set Bottas to high overtake aggressiveness, because if we want to get in the points there, we are going to have to. Because we are going to have to try and get by these cars as quickly as possible, so we don't lose too much time. And that is going to require us to be a tad more aggressive. And I might need to do the same here for Show, which is a little bit riskier. But again, it is kind of what we have to do to get our cars back into points. And I'll be focusing on kind of micromanaging this from this point on. See if we can get both Bottas and, of course, Show back up into those 9th and 10th with Ocon and Gasly currently at. So I'll be doing that kind of micromanagement. It's not really too difficult. I probably should make a little bit of video sometime later about race starts and just general race management. I say as I run out of energy on my ERS. So I'll probably make a guide like that sometime in the future. But generally, once you get the gist of it, race management isn't too different from anything else here in this game, unfortunately. But yeah, as said, goal here will be to get Bottas back up into the points. Same for Show, and I'll do the best to make that happen. We have a virtual safety car, virtually impossible, virtually immediately after. Tsunoda causing a bit of a mayhem here, which is probably going to put us in even a worse position here for points. And yeah, that should be Tsunoda just straight up out. So yeah, that's probably going to put us in a negative position for the points, because as you can see, all the cars ahead of us are now pitting, and we are kind of limited with how quickly we can run. But Bottas did catch up to a lot of them. Show is just behind Gasly,
the driver is okay,
and they did go into the hards, which could mean that they're going to be on those hard tires till the end. So with that in mind, it's still not completely, you know, terrible. We will just go a little bit harvest here, a little bit more than we might need to. So yeah, I think we can still make something out of this. Although, as I said, that virtual safety car
BSC ending
did not really do us any favors. So we'll push fuel, we'll do deploy. Won't push too much more on the energy on the tires right now. We could try, but again, we do need to make these tires last, so we'll probably go attack for the last few laps instead. Bottas gets the overtake done, but again, Ocon is on fresh hards, so even then he should have no real problem staying with Bottas. So we'll have to try and do our best there. And I'm just going to allow him to use energy to try and pull away. But as you can see, it doesn't seem like he'll be able to. For now though, we'll work on getting, as I said, both drivers up in a better position, and we'll see where we're at the end of the race. Well, once again, getting closer to a pit stop here. We also have a little bit of damage here from the ERS, going below 40%. That's fine though, it was expected before the start of the race. We are going to be pitting Bottas this lap. He has been running with Ocon for his basically entire stint. It is what it is, it's fine though. And we'll be pitting Show the lap after, which should be okay. And honestly, it's looking kind of promising here still. Now, again, a lot of cars did save a lot of time from getting their pit stops done under the virtual safety car. The fact that we have to pit now kind of with that one is going to put us into a, kind of negative position. But Shoei getting out ahead of Sargent and getting himself a little bit of free air, that is definitely going to be massive for him. So for now, we're going to still just try and chase down the two Alpines mainly. I think Hamilton is going to probably get up to 8th here pretty quick. So I'll be trying to help both our drivers to just speed things along, get themselves up into the get themselves up into the points. Now, of course, I think Bottas will be able to do it. I think he'll have a lot of easier time of getting that done than, say, Show. But I'll still try and get both of them up there, and we'll see what we can do here. Show is running 14 right now. He has got Norris on his own. So next is hunting down Albon, but as you see, he has 15 seconds to gain there, so he's not going to have very much of a good time. Now, for Bottas, he's running about a second quicker than, maybe 2 seconds quicker than the Alpines. So within the next 16 laps or so, we should be able to get within striking distance of him. We'll see what we can do, though. Interestingly enough, Hamilton isn't pushing fully, which is a bit surprising, which also allowed Bottas now to overtake both him and Gasly just a couple of seconds now behind Hulk. But the main danger is not actually the cars in front, it's Perez potentially lapping us, because that is going to massively slow us down here. About 4 laps to go. We have, again, Hulkenberg here. Again, we are still on our lap 59, as Perez starts his lap 60. We are still running our lap 59 here now. So we do have a bit of a, deficit from that perspective as well. This is not really representative of where we are at in our race. Show has done a good job here. He has actually caught up to Albon, but he has been slowed down because he is forced to run behind a slower Leclerc at this moment, because that is the facts. Leclerc is slower. You can actually see it on, well, what Bottas was running earlier. He's now kind of stuck behind Hulk. But you get what I'm saying. We were running about 1/17s, and we're now getting stuck behind a slower driver in front. And I can't understand why we're having such trouble getting by Hulkenberg here. Hulkenberg has basically completely shot hards, and we are just not making the getting the moves to stick.
No overtake. Copy.
That's going to be sad, because that's probably going to deny us any opportunity to attack Ocon, fortunately. But yeah, we are on our second last lap. We have one more after this, because again, we're not running with Perez. So for Bottas here, it's going to actually have a bit of a hard time, because he has cooked his tires pretty badly. The show is on his last lap now. He's going to, because he's lapped, so we could probably tune him up a little bit. But Bottas is not going to get Ocon, but 9th is still very acceptable, and it is basically kind of what we expected here, so we'll take it. Should probably tune him down a little bit so he doesn't actually completely burn out those tires. And yeah, if you weren't stuck behind Hulkenberg for so long, we might have actually finished in a better position. But yeah, we'll definitely take 9th. And as I said, this is basically what you can expect from the car. This was a race where we had one virtual safety car. It did not pan out to our advantage, said safety car. Well, said virtual safety car. And I think, honestly, also we could have had an Alfa, show here. Probably close to 10th, if it wasn't for, getting lap for 1. But also, again, the time loss from said safety car. We're probably going to have 8th here with Bottas. So it is what it is. We'll take it, though. Leclerc still leading. Perez won the race. And we still have, equal points with Alpine. But again, the goal here is 7th. So we don't care about Alpine. The only thing we really care about is Haas. If they catch up to us, that's fine too. So Williams, basically the bottom 3 teams are the ones that we need to worry about: McLaren, Williams, and AlphaTauri. As long as we don't get beat by those, it should be fine. Now, Bottas once again has the quickest pit stop. Show has a bit of a slower one, 10th slower. He also ate another error, which also, of course, destroyed kind of his chances there. So he did have a really, really bad race from just a luck perspective. But it is what it is. We did fail to reach Q3. No, we didn't. We did not fail to reach Q3. Show was in Q3. He had, I guess, ATA qualifiers also bugged. Need to put in the ticket. But yeah, keep in mind, though, then, that ATA qualifiers reach Q3 apparently does not work as intended, potentially. Could also just be a visual bug. It's kind of hard to tell with this game sometimes, but it's still fun. I'm still having a lot of fun here. So yeah, that's it. We finished Imola. We got some points. Pocher wins the F2 race. Bogdanovic wins the F3. But yeah, looks a little bit interesting there. F2 driver talent, Roy Nissany. Yeah, I'm going to say no thank you. Sorry about that one. We are going to replace that suspension immediately. Might need to also manufacture a new one. Okay, so we didn't actually have an extra one, so we do need to manufacture a new one. Luckily, we can do it normally this time around. We do have Monaco coming up in just 4 days, so I am sorry, little one, but Bottas is the main, breadwinner in the family, if you will. So we'll be giving him, the most help. Again, since we are basically kind of done with, again, design at this stage, which is kind of weird to say, we are still going to do probably a new chassis, the underfloor suspension. But the other three pieces, we can basically now start to manufacture into, their final forms, if you will. So the rear wing and the side pods, I believe, we can basically just max out now at where they currently will be, because we are, again, in a very, very stable situation right now in terms of points. We don't really need to fight for a high position. We can just develop the car for next year and have, a shocker then, which would actually be more fun. So we're going to do that. Manufacture is complete. The front wing, good. We should actually just manufacture a new one right away, because I believe I made 3, which means that we just have 1 spare. So let's go ahead and manufacture 1 more right away. And there we are. Now, we could also just make some pieces that more focus on the engine cooling aspect, because again, we are pretty safe right now. If we did, we'd probably be able to save a bit of money on new components. But we are pretty, crash prone still, so we're going to wait a little bit with that. Race prep for Monaco, the suspension design is finished. It's again, a pretty important one, honestly. As you see there, the, particularly, not that important. I was looking at these numbers mainly. It's a pretty important one, though. It's just a small boost for everything, so we are going to manufacture 4 of these when we get the opportunity, and that'll be our final one from that perspective. But yeah. It's not a huge boost, but it's a smaller boost, and that's basically what you're going to get after your initial 6 pieces, unless you, as I said, use CFD time. You can, of course, spread it around to boost more pieces, but I still prefer to do 1. Spreading it around can be more effective, though, and just, getting you a little bit more competitive in that first season. Now, the side pods are going to get hit pretty hard. Suspension is going to get hit pretty hard, so I think we are going to start just researching both of those. And as you see, we're just getting about 2%. So we have to run 4 of these projects at a minimum, probably 5, in order to, cancel out the next CS regulations. And then we need to do some more just to, boost them. So for now, we're going to put 1 engineer on this. And as I said, with 4 projects needed, we're going to have to basically spend 4 or 5 months researching standard if we want to make this kind of work. So I think we're just going to do that for the sideboard. We are going to probably focus, as I said, a next APR period into, I think, the suspension, maybe. We'll have a look at what we can gain if we do it for the underfloor, and we'll take it from there. And for Monaco, we're going to gamble 1 drive in Q3, 1 drive in Q2. We do have, as I said, a pretty... we have kind of screwed over Joe here by not giving him, a better suspension, because again, it's Monaco. Getting this boost in low-speed cornering is going to be massive. And we can actually have a look again at where our car currently stacks up. So currently, car is, again, a decent midfield car. We're probably just behind Alpine. Lacking a little bit in the high-speed cornering, low-speed, medium-speed. We're going to be falling out of the points more and more as the season progresses. But at this stage, we are kind of safe. So I'm thinking we're going to be doing research because of that. Now, of course, as I said, you are going to probably, if you are struggling still, going to be developing your car for a little bit longer. But also, the important thing is to take what regulations you're actually going to getting hit with into account on when to start research. Sometimes it's a little bit better to kind of throw away a season just to make sure that you can get a car that will be extremely dominant going forwards, and that is kind of what we are going to be trying to do here. We're going to make a car that's going to win in Season 2. With that said, though, let's us jump into the Monaco race. Let's see how that goes. Monaco is also looking promising here. We qualified 7th. Unfortunately for Show, he is quite a lot slower than we are with Bottas, about 8 tenths at the worst, 7 tenths, 6 tenths at best. So Show's going to probably have a bad time here because, again, that suspension is, well, he doesn't have it. Bottas has better pace stats to begin with. So Bottas is going to have a huge advantage here. I don't think we can get Show in the points. It's going to require, I was about to say, divine interventions and crashing. But Alonso here starts on the front. We have Verstappen starting 5th. And, well, he's been standing some times that we just can't even get close to. We're almost almost a second off, well, 7 tenths really off his best time. But again, they are a little too quick for us. But we can fight for essentially 7th here. We have Magnussen. Then we have the two Mercs. Then we have Alpine just not having a good day here. So, yeah, this season has been very, very promising so far. Let's see if we can keep it up. Now, we have also put in mostly, you know, fresh parts here for Bottas, so that should also help out. And what we could do here is, again, what I like to do, which is the aggressive two-stopper. It actually does seem to work pretty well in Monaco in this year's game. And one of those reasons is the performance. The softs will be quicker for 15 laps. The mediums will be quicker than the hards for about 15 laps before they start losing out. So doing soft, medium, soft is potentially really good here because it is a rather short pit lane. So we'll try and do something like that, see if we can make it work. Again here, though, we do have to take into consideration that Bottas does not have the best smoothness. It is going to make his life a lot harder with this strategy. So what I'm thinking is that we do something a little bit more aggressive on the starting stint. We go a little bit aggressive on the medium stint. And we'll adapt the final soft stint here as we see fit. We could potentially try and go aggressive or do half standard, then last half aggressive, something like that. And I think that'll be a decent idea here. Of course, probably for this one, we can maybe run something like, say, this. And again, do the same there. And it wouldn't be that much slow. It's about 10 seconds. So a lot, again, here is going to depend on how long are we going to take to get by the cars in front. If we're quick, it's probably actually going to benefit us. If we are not quick, it's going to be a sad time indeed. So yeah, we're going to go with this for both drivers. We'll see how this pans out. And again, the best way to get a good start is just to push everything you can for the first 2 or so laps, then tune down your tires afterwards. You are going to burn a little bit more, of course, of the durability, but it's going to be worth it from just maintaining your track position. Of course, you can still lose a position, gain a position or two, but generally just running full attack, full fuel usage, full ERS does work. Of course, if you're on a worse tire, you're going to have a worse start. And that's what I'm seeing from a lot of people that are saying that, oh, the AI is just insane at starts. No, the AI is pushing everything. You are most likely on a weaker tire, and that makes you fall behind. Because I haven't actually seen that. Like, the first few races was like, okay, the AI is actually pushing now. So you are the only the thing that has changed really from race starts here, although I know that I'm sounding kind of rude right now, is that the AI pushes everything they have. You need to do the same. And if you are on a weaker tire, you are most likely going to get overtaken. But at the same time, you have much better chance of overtaking someone who is on a weaker tire ahead of you. And we've done that in this series at a couple of occasions. But yeah, push everything and just, again, put on the ERS assist. It's going to make your life a little bit easier because it allows AI to regulate their ERS themselves. I'm really sorry that this start here was incredibly loud. I kind of hurt my ears even. So we have the inside line here on Sainz. Sainz is on, again, the weaker tire. But he is in a quicker car, which is, of course, going to make our life a little bit harder with the overtake. He is going to maintain his position potentially. We'll see into the first, down into the hairpin here, if we can maybe make a move on him. And looks like he's still going to just stay there on the inside, and that should be him just straight up staying ahead of us, unfortunately. But we made an honorable effort here. Now, we do actually have... He's actually not given up yet. This could get interesting into the next corner if we stay here. Ah, we didn't. But yeah, as I said here, this going to be a bit of interesting here because Magnussen is on a hard tire, and if we can detach him, then that should help us out a lot here. Now, we could also just have Show, for instance, run Always Defend, because that does slow down the cars behind by a good 1.5 seconds each lap, which is just insane here. But that seems a little bit too cheesy for me, so we're not going to do it. If you slow down the cars behind by, say, again, a little bit less than that, it would probably have been a little bit better, but that is just a tad too much. Now, we have done the first couple laps here, so as I said, we're going to be tuning down our cars, tuning them that aggressive. I'd still recommend you just running push fuel until you're about a kilogram and a half down, and then you will slowly regenerate that during the race. It's just more reliable in retaining your position and staying within DRS of the car in front. So in this case, we've actually stayed in position for both cars, which isn't actually that difficult because, well, it's Monaco. But it is a good start here. And for sure, we're actually going to just go ahead and give him the ERS here again. Help him a little bit by deploying. which should help him potentially get the overtake done here on the main straight, unless, again, Ocon gets DRS. If he doesn't, Show might be able to pull it off, but no. It is unfortunate, but he couldn't make that happen. So I'll try and get our cars a little bit further up here. For Bottas, the main goal here is only actually just going to stay with the cars in front because they're all very quick cars. And if we can stay with them, again, look at this. The gap to Magnus is already 4 seconds. And if this gap continues to grow by us staying with the Ferraris, the Red Bulls, the Astons, we are going to basically have a super safe pit stop down the line around lap 20. We should not be having to do a lot of overtaking. So it's looking really, really promising so far. Let's see if we can keep it up. We're getting closer to that first pit stop here. We have kind of held on here to Sainz, but as you can see, we're about 3 seconds behind at this stage. We are pushing. We're going to be pushing for another lap before we pit. We should have enough for that. Hamilton has overtaken Magnussen, and that has allowed him to start reeling us in. So when we pit here, we're probably going to come out potentially behind these 5 cars. And, well, Hulkenberg is going to be pitting fairly soon, but the rest of them probably are not. So that is going to make our life a tad bit more difficult, let's be honest, but hopefully no pit stop errors. But of course that is going to be a bit of a, you know, need to be a little bit lucky with that. And again, Show just can't compete here in this race. He's just falling further and further behind. But that is kind of what was expected here, because well, we weren't going to have a good time. Now, luckily for us, Bottas just loses 2 positions from pitting, so Hulkenberg, Hamilton should still be kind of smooth sailing to get by. Hulkenberg should be falling behind from Hamilton pretty quickly. Sorry, it's not Hulkenberg, it's Magnussen. Hulkenberg actually pitted. So yeah, even so, as I said, he should be falling backwards pretty rapidly, and that should allow us an opportunity here to immediately get the overtake done. Bottas does pull that off, so now we just need to kind of catch up to Hamilton. So yeah, looking good. Show, as I said, is probably not going to be even close to getting into the points here. But Bottas is looking still very, very promising. Won't really have too many cars to overtake. And with the exception of Hamilton and Alonso, everyone ahead has pitted on 2 hards. So we'll have to see, though, if we can actually make this happen. Because we do need to overtake Sainz. And that's going to be a bit of a pain with how it currently stands. So I think we'll reach a transfer lap and then give it a go. And we'll see if we can make something happen here. Alright, we're reaching our final pit stop here. Bottas has been doing incredibly well. We have over 30 seconds down to 8th place. We can safely pit here, no real concerns at all. Show, he is currently up in the points, but if we have a look here, once he pits, he's probably going to get lapped. So that's going to make things a little bit more difficult to, you know exactly what we're going to get. But we're going to come out behind Magnussen. Magnussen has pitted for some mediums. As long as we can get by him, I think we'll be able to fight back up and catch everyone, because as you can see, everyone with the exception of us, Magnussen and Piastri, are in those hard tires. So once we go onto these softs here, we're going to have a huge advantage for at least 10 laps or so. And again, it is still pretty far to go, about 25-ish laps. But even so, I think I did pitch Show a lap there too early, that's fine though. But even so, I think we'll be able to make something happen with this. Again, we are, as you say, getting Show lapped. Bottas is going to be potentially in danger. But again, he has so much free space to play with here that, honestly, I'm not concerned at all for him. We are going to probably be tuning him down a little bit too, to more of a standard run once his tire seats up. We're going to do the same here for Show. Run standard probably for about 5 laps or so before we go aggressive for the rest. And I think that will be probably okay. We might need to run a little bit more standard towards the end as a result. But I think that would be doable in terms of making these tires last. Now, interesting enough here, both Leclerc and Stroll has pitted onto a fresh soft as well. So those hard runners are kind of running the same strategy that we are. But we did a medium stint and they did a hard one instead. So we'll see how that plays out for now. But Show 2 has a massive amount of free space here where he can, try and catch up to cars in front. And right now he is running 14.8s. Hamilton, Russell running 16.1s, 16.2s. So if you can keep this up, they are, as I said, within reach. Now, I don't think Bottas can actually catch anyone further up ahead. So we'll play it a little bit safer and just have him kind of stay where he is. Because again, Sainz went onto softs. I think everyone here is going onto those soft tires now that we did, interestingly enough. Well, Stroll and Leclerc did before. But at the same time, I don't see any point in pushing to hunt down cars that we can't reach. I'd rather just stay here and get the guaranteed points of 7. which would be good. Point here, the main focus here now is going to actually have to be Show. Getting him a little bit further up the grid so that he can potentially grab a point or two for us would be amazing. So we'll see if we can pull something off here. I have to say, this is probably one of the most confusing Monacos I've ever been a part of. You can see there's a shit... well, there's a lot of cars here, let's put it like that. But we've been losing so much time from getting lapped, because every time we're getting lapped, it is in the hairpin. Every time we get a lap, we lost 2-3 seconds a lap. But even then, we have caught up now. We are within grasp of 9th. But because there are so many cars that we are lapping, we are getting lapped, and everything's happening. It's just madness right now. If we have a look at, say, Show's lap times, getting lapped in the hairpin for both of these, trying to, you know, he's losing a lot of time. Again, lapping other cars. It's kind of mad, really, just how things are going right now. But at the same time, we are looking very promising here to getting ahead of, say, Gasly even. But even that is going to require a little bit of work here. So we have 10 laps to make this happen. And again, us getting lapped is going to be a bit of a problem. Next one is Sainz, though. And there aren't actually any threats here. We could even potentially catch Hulkenberg. So we just need to recharge Show and try and get these overtakes done. It is a DRS train, which is going to make it more difficult. It's also why we're cooling the tires right now. And we're cooling them for 2 purposes. Well, we're recharging it for 1. But we also are going to want to run attack to try and have a bit of a better chance at getting by these cars without, you know, being in trouble. And we're actually just going to do it right now. We're going to get attack, get close to Hamilton, who has fallen back a little bit. A little bit of pressure on him. He might need to defend a little bit more. Might make him lose some time, fall out of the DRS zone. And the goal then is going to be just straight up trying to overtake him with a little bit of help of energy now. He is very close to falling out, but I think he just made it here. Yeah. Yeah, we'll do attack, we'll use energy, and we'll just try now and get these overtakes done, because they are going to be very, very painful to pull off, but it is what it is. Again, we did lose a lot of time. We actually lost a position too at one point because of those, again, lapping. And as you can see here now, Sainz laps us in this section here, and we lose 2 seconds to the car in front. It's just very, very frustrating. So as you can see, Hamilton doesn't really suffer too much. He's actually going to get the RS2 of the Ferrari. So we are going to have a really, really hard time here too, because of that, because of the lapping, unlapping, and everything, to get into the top 10 here. But we'll do our best. It would show. If he had that suspension, it would have made this job a lot easier. But for now, we'll recharge again, and we'll try and do another launch here, like a lap or 2. We'll see how this goes. We're getting very close to the end there. Show is fighting with Gasly here. They are still fighting. As you can see, we actually have Hulkenberg just ahead of us. And so far, it's actually gone pretty well. We have gotten him up to 9th. There are some gaps that have formed here, luckily, as you know, we stopped having the front runners come and overtake us. And we'll have to try and make something work now with Hulkenberg, because we'll only have this one last chance to get that overtake done with DRS. So yeah, this is going to be probably an important one, because again, they are on their last lap. So at the finish of this one, we are going to be out. But we did use a lot of energy to try and get the other ones overtaken. So I think we basically have done what we could here. Unfortunately, we have everything on maximum for that. So yeah, it's not looking too good here. Perez starting his final lap, which, as I mentioned, will end ours, I believe. So it's a little bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. Gonna have to conserve a little bit here, but I think it should be fine, because that should be counting for, doesn't count if you're lapped. So again, tad unfortunate. Oh, we actually did have another one. I had a brain fart. Did get the overtake done though. That is amazing by Show. I don't actually know where Bottas is on the track. Oh.
Perez has crossed the line first.
Okay, this is a little bit hilarious. I think actually the reason why Show got the overtake done is because Bottas was there. So in the end, it actually paid off for us. But yeah, Show is going to be finishing ahead of Bottas, technically, while still being behind. That is hilarious. But yeah, there we go. Again, it's been so many like overtakes and everything here. Like, we have the re-slap 3 times. We have car slapped all around, so it's been really, really a confusing race for me from that perspective. So that is why I was wrong on when, you know, Show's final lap would be. But 7-8 at Monaco, basically on pace. We had no incidents here. I'll take that for sure. We'll be very, very happy with that result.
Wasn't that a fantastic...
There wasn't even a single yellow flag during this race, if I'm correct. It was just, as you can see, fast slaps from the boys. No yellows, no anything. So the fact that we can actually beat the Mercs now, kind of on certain tracks. Let's be honest, it's gonna be certain tracks. It's kind of funny. And I don't know what's actually going on here with the Mercedes cars, because they should be ahead of these two here. They should be ahead of us too, no problem at all. So that one is a little bit confusing. But 7 and 8 here, we'll take that for sure. Paris is still leading his charge here to fight Leclerc. And potentially we could have a 3-way championship fight, which is going to be amazing if it comes through. And with this, we are still ahead of Alpine by 9 points. So I think, again, we should be safe doing that kind of switch over to research. Again, you're going to have to see in your game if you need to develop your car more. But again, with the upgrades that I've used here, you should be able to reliably get, well, mainly that I showed in the first episode, you should be able to reliably get 9th or 10th, provided, of course, we don't have any crashes. In this case, we had actually pit stop delays again. We have about a 20% error chance, so we've been a bit unlucky the last few races, but that is how it is. 3.7 million. We'll take that for sure. Love extra money. Yeah, I think we are going to, as I said, move over to research focus. Probably not use the full cost cap here. Bottas levels up. Very nice. Chen rises up. Chen levels up as well. Very nice. But as I said, we might not use the full cost cap here for this season, because we are going to be focusing on the research aspect going forwards. And we're also going to be trying to... we're going to just be trying to hold on to that. So as I said, we're probably going to start falling backwards. We'll probably still have races where we can perform. But at the same time, we are not going to be scoring points in all the races of the rest of the season. I don't think, at least. Now, we're also going to have a quick look here at our warehouse here, see what we kind of want to manufacture. Because right now, it doesn't really matter what we do manufacture. Probably didn't want to manufacture a chassis then, I think about it, because we have a chassis research project going, don't we? Underfloor. Sorry. We have chassis and underfloor going, so yeah, didn't want to do that. We do want to manufacture side pods, we are, so I think we're actually caught up at this stage. I would think, as long as we get these suspensions made. Well, there we go. That should be us all caught up on parts, which is very, very good. And we'll also just get everything set up for next time around. Monaco feature race, Prix wins again. Arubala, Fittipaldi, I think we're going to be used to seeing these three on the podium. Aaron, Saucy, and Goethe, probably those as same. Pass everything on the car part inspection, really good. And as I said, we are going to probably be ending this part here. It's been, again, let me know what you think about that. Because, again, I did spend a lot of this episode just basically having a discussion with myself on, should we still focus design? Should we switch over to research? And I did hit the conclusion that most likely we're going to benefit more from just doing research, because again, we are losing we're losing some cooling, and we're also losing some airflow sensitivity and airflow from basically for cornering as well. Well, both types of airflow really. So I decided that the best thing that we could do for the future is focus on the car, because right now we are in a stable position. Let's be honest. We aren't going to need much more than 40 points there to get 7th. I don't think so. Merc has been kind of a, weaker than expected for the last few races. I'll be honest about that. But we are in a position now where I think, again, safely, that we'll be able to get 7th. And that is what the board wants. As long as we get 7th and we don't, cause problems anywhere else, we should have a safe seat here. The boards are happy with the race performance. They only did not like Jeddah. So as you can see, delighted, happy, disappointed, we can live with that. And as long as we don't go into death, we should be fine here. Podium contender is not something we'll be doing, because that is still, 4 years away. We have plenty of time to get that done. As long as we stay on target for this one, the board will not be firing us. Do this, don't go into depth, you'll be fine. So yeah. Let me know what you think. Should I, make a condensed version of this, or I just go how to survive? Because again, we've had a bit of luck with Baku in particular. But right now, as you can see with Monaco, on tracks that are mainly low speed focused, where we can basically take a little bit of advantage, we have huge potential, mainly for Bottas. But again, we have Show managed to get an 8th on pace. He beat out both Mercs with that strategy. So depending on the strategy, you can take advantage. The main thing, of course, is going to be getting by cars. If you had been a little bit more lucky with crashes, of course, we could have had way worse results. Honestly, everything has kind of been going our way. So I'm definitely understanding if you play this and you have a bit of bad luck that you're going to still have a lot of harder time. So again, let me know what you think about. Should I, if I decide to go big changes on the, you know, progress like that, progress direction, should I just have the result in, or should I have that full discussion that I basically have with myself? Let me know. So yeah, this is the end of the second part of Alfa Romeo. We are going to be continuing here. It's gone a little bit better than I thought it would. So yeah, let me know what you think. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. That helps me out a ton. Thank you to all who have Thank you to all who has done that. Sorry, I am speaking a little bit too quickly here. It does happen that I get slightly excited and then my speed speeds up. But again, thank you all for watching. Thank you for liking and subscribing. And I hope to see you all next time. Big shout out to the members that make me, well, that gives me the opportunity to play this game more than I otherwise would. Bye-bye. Also, before that, sorry again, stream today at 1500 CEST, the usual streaming time. We'll be continuing McLaren. And that, I think, was all. Bye-bye.